and just shows us that we have to be more discerning with who we have faith in and who we trust to lead us and to spearhead movements and boycotts within our community. We have to really be looking at everybody kind of with the side eye, because you just don't really know. A lot of people want the limelight more than they want liberation. Hey y'all, it is Janice on the mic, back with another video. In today's video, I want to talk about Target and Pastor Jamal Bryant. Now, I have to preface this video by saying that I wrote an article about the whole kerfuffle that happened with Pastor Jamal Bryant saying last week that the Target fast was over, when in actuality, he was not the one that started the boycott to begin with. It was started by 3 Minnesota-based activists, one of which I interviewed for the article, Nikema Levy Armstrong. So a lot of people were saying that they thought Pastor Jamal Bryant got paid off. He claims that he wasn't paid off. However, it's odd that out of nowhere, he consulted with none of the original people who spearheaded the boycott, but he woke up and decided that the boycott would be over. He claims that Target has invested $2 billion or however much money in the Black community, that they're going to be investing in HBCUs, that the only thing that they didn't agree to was investing in Black banks, but that they are reimagining DEI. But I actually found no evidence of this. Again, I wrote a whole article that broke this down, but I just want to talk about 2 important parts of this situation. The fact that two of the activists that started the Target boycott were Black women. One was a Black man. But the fact that these 3 activists got together, said, we need to boycott this company that no longer stands for Black people that they committed to years prior, is powerful. But Ella Baker talks about how we can't be sort of like hypnotized by the charismatic leader. And I think that Pastor Jamal Bryant is a very charismatic leader. I say this as somebody who interviewed him a couple months ago about him calling for people to boycott during the holiday season. And he's a very charismatic leader, as many religious leaders are. But if we want movements to move forward and actually be long lasting, we can't prop up charismatic leaders or individuals. And it's actually not a good thing when we do this, because it's easy to take out that charismatic leader and then you disintegrate the entire movement. We saw this with Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party, where he was elevated to this like leader status, and it was easier to dismantle the Black Panthers in Chicago once you took out one of their most powerful leaders. And so I think that in movement spaces, we have to be very leery of individuals that are propping themselves up as leaders of these boycotts and of movements. And we have to really ask ourselves, and this is something that Nikema mentioned when I interviewed her, but she's like, a lot of these people that are being propped up to the forefront are not organizers. Pastor Jamal Bryant is not an activist. He's not an organizer. I don't know a lot about his background, but he's not an organizer. I know he was married to one of the housewives from Potomac, but I think because someone is wearing a nice shiny suit and that they lead a congregation, that makes us more likely to believe them and believe what they're saying. But we have to be, as a community, more discerning. We have to really think about, who are these people we're propping up? What is their background? Where are their receipts? Are they really about the people? And so I think that what this whole situation has shown us is that we have to be more discerning. We have to move away from, like Ella Baker said, propping up charismatic leaders. And we have to really look into who people are before allowing them to lead us, right? Malcolm X talked about this when he famously said that within the Black community, we prop up famous Black people instead of those who are educators and who are activists and who are organizers and those who are really doing the groundwork to liberate and move the Black community forward. We have this tendency to prop up musicians and prop up actors and people who are not invested in liberating Black people. They're invested in liberating their pockets. But I hope that this situation shows us that we can't be so persuaded, myself included, we can't be so persuaded and moved by people who are charismatic, who say the right things, if their actions don't match up with their words. Pastor Jamal has shown us that, like Nakima said, he's somebody that is not really about the people. And so I think we need to believe him and believe his behavior. And this situation has been super eye-opening for me as somebody that, after I interviewed Pastor Jamal Bryant, I was a fan and supporter of him for galvanizing people to boycott Target. But these moves and his recent behavior has made me rethink that whole thing. The second issue that this whole situation brings up is something that I've also written about, which is the fact that a lot of times these powerful movements are started by Black women, but they end up getting co-opted. In the article I wrote about this years ago, I talked about the Me Too movement and how in 2017, Alyssa Milano tweeted Me Too on Twitter, and everyone was initially crediting her as the one who spearheaded the Me Too movement, when in actuality, Tarana Burke had already started the Me Too movement years prior. Tarana Burke is also somebody I talked about in my book, Rise and Resist. But this happened a lot. We saw this during the women's suffrage movement, where Black women were at the forefront of fighting for voter rights for women, but we were sidelined to the back, and the contributions of Black women were ignored and erased and overlooked. So I think that even with Black Lives Matter, there's so many movements that Black women started and we were erased from the movements. I was submitting a chapter for a book, and the chapter ended up not being a good fit for the book, but I wrote a 5,000 plus word book chapter on AI and how Black women are the canaries in the AI coal mine, and how what happens with, or the ways that AI harms Black women, provide us with really powerful insights into how AI will harm everyone else. And one of the things I talked about is how easy AI makes it to co-opt the genius and the creativity of Black women. And so I talked about how Black women's contributions, we saw this happening on TikTok. The most obvious example was with Charli D'Amelio and the young girl who created, and see, it's sad that I wrote about this and I can't remember the young girl's name, but she was the originator of the Renegade dance. And I'm going to put her name across the screen because it's a shame that I don't remember her name, but I remember this young white woman who co-opted the dance and got famous and got millions and got deals and all of these, like, she was in like a Dunkin' Donuts commercial and all of these things from stealing from Black women. And so I think that this brings up a larger trend where people co-opt and steal so much from Black women without crediting or citing Black women. So I think that we have to be, as a people, more discerning with who we follow, right? I think the ancestors have provided us with a really powerful blueprint and so many lessons, right? Because Ella Baker been told us, Malcolm X been told us, we have to be more discerning with who we follow, right, within the Black community. And then also, we have to give credit where credit is due. And I refuse to participate in the erasure of Black women and Black women's contribution. So whenever these types of things happen, I think it's really important for us to call it out and to not participate in this, right? So I initially did not know that Pastor Jamal Bryant was not the one that, I didn't know that Pastor Jamal Bryant wasn't the one that started the Target boycott. I actually thought he was one of the ones that spearheaded it. But when you do the research and you look at, you do a deep dive, you find that it actually wasn't him. He called for a fast in February of 2025, but Nakima Levy Armstrong and two other Minnesota activists called for a boycott in January of 2025. So I've actually also been part of this erasure because I was not aware and I did not know. But when I found out, I corrected myself. I corrected my pieces that I've written on this whole situation. And so I think that this situation brings up two really, really important issues that often pop up, and just shows us that we have to be more discerning with who we have faith in and who we trust to lead us and to spearhead movements and boycotts within our community. We have to really be looking at everybody kind of with the side eye, because you just don't really know. A lot of people want the limelight more than they want liberation, and that was a bar. So thank y'all so much for watching. Let me know what you think. I'll put all of the resources and the articles I mentioned in the description box below, but please let me know what you think, and I will see y'all in the next video.